Um, Hello and welcome to the ISRK Podcast. I'm your host, Kumar Vikrant. I work as a doctoral student at the Hanyang University, Seoul, Korea. ISRK, that is Indian Students and Researchers in Korea, is a voluntary support group that works towards the benefit of the Indian diaspora in Korea. So, for the maiden podcast episode, we have Dr. Saifuddin with us. Dr. Saifuddin, welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Vikrant, for calling me on your first episode.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here. So, to begin with, can you walk us through your journey so far and what do you do and what kind of research you're involved in?
I am from Odisha, Bhubaneswar,
Mm-hmm.
capital city of Odisha. So I did my bachelor's in biotechnology, that was BSc. Then I moved to VIT Vellore for my master's, MSc. Then I joined a research lab, that is CSIR IMMT in Bhubaneswar.
Mm-hmm.
I worked there for 1.5 years. While working there, I was searching for positions in abroad. So at that time, I got this opportunity and I came here. But there was a little shift in my field.
Uh-huh.
So from biotechnology, I was basically working on environmental microbiology.
Mm-hmm.
But after coming here, I'm working on environmental remediation, but mostly in
Um,
the chemistry part. So I'm working on adsorption. Means I in the PhD I worked on adsorption and desorption of phosphate from wastewater.
mm-hmm. Ah,
So I joined in 2016, 2016 August,
mm-hmm.
but I took a semester leave in between. Then my I got awarded my PhD in February 2021.
Um, so, so from where did you at present you are a postdoctoral researcher, I presume?
Yeah, this month I have joined a lab in
Mm-hmm.
Korea as a postdoctoral researcher.
So where is your lab located in?
Yeah, it's in Incheon.
Mhm.
My lab is in Inha University.
In High University. Okay,
Yeah,
so actually your research area is very much similar to mine.
yeah,
I also work on the application of materials, but my focus is primarily on air quality, but we do work in wastewater as well. So
I saw.
yeah, so how do you see your research impacting the society at large, and what is the benefit to the society based on your research?
Like I went to a conference. I was not very much aware. Like only through literature, I was
Uh-huh.
knowing that this country has this much stipulated rules that they have to maintain this much phosphate or nitrate or whatever
Yeah.
pollutants in the nutrients in the wastewater or in the sea bodies, water bodies. But after going to Europe in a conference, I could see that uh, it's a really very big issue, global issue throughout the world. And in our countries, like in India and developing countries, we are not very much particular about that thing.
Yeah,
But
right.
we have only given certain instruction to some industries.
Hmm.
Rather than that, we are not treating the municipal wastewater in most of the places. Only in some metropolitan cities we are doing that.
Yes.
But in coming future, we will have to do those kind of treatments, and this field is going to have a bigger scope than it has now in India.
Yeah, environmental issues are a big concern nowadays globally as we see the rise in pollution and everything. So I very much thank you for the work you're doing for the community. And
Mm.
so so how is the research atmosphere like in Korea? Like you stated before that you worked also in India. So can you contrast between the research atmosphere which you felt back in our home country and in Korea, and what can we learn from it?
The research atmosphere was almost the same. Like
Mm-hmm.
we have to work and we have to submit project reports and we
Yeah.
have to publish papers. But the main difference which I saw here, that they start the work with an aim to, like in my institute where I was working, it was my university name was UST. I
Mhm.
came through UST scholarship program. So my campus was KICT. It's a government research institute. So
So
there I could see
this
that
this is located in Korea, right?
yeah, it's
Oh,
in Goyang, Ilsan,
ah,
near
okay,
to Kintex.
okay.
Yeah, so my professors always took a project with an aim to commercialize it.
Ah, yeah.
So I didn't see this approach in India
Mhm.
much. Some of the professors are doing,
Mhm.
like in MMT also there was one professor who was always trying to patent.
Yeah.
But my professor within my time frame, like I stayed in his lab for 4.5 years,
Mhm.
I could see him commercializing four products, out of which he sold three of them to
Wow.
big companies.
Mhm.
So it was very different thing for me, because
Yeah.
in MMT also I had seen, like in India, I had also seen companies coming to see the research work going on,
Mhm.
but later on it's very difficult for commercialization. But in Korea, it's quite easier as compared to
Mhm.
India.
Mhm. Yeah, so in my opinion also, like the final aim of research should be implementation in the society. So that is something we can all strive for. So that was the research aspect. How is your life in Korea? Like many people, when they are coming to Korea, they want to ask us that basically it's not an English speaking country, the Korean is the primary language, and people are not that much aware of what kind of society it is. So, how has your experience been so far, and how do you live in Korea, and what can you tell us about it?
I came to Korea without knowing anyone
Hmm.
actually.
Yeah.
When I reached here alone, and I had no information, no phone numbers, nothing.
Wow.
Just I knew my professor, and a lab mate came to receive me.
Mm-hmm.
He was from Pakistan, I guess. So that was the only connection between me and Korea. So, but after coming here, I could feel that it's also good that we don't know much about this language, because if we are in research, we generally don't need, because in labs they prefer to speak Korean, English, sorry, English.
Mm-hmm.
Even if someone don't know speaking English, they want to make friend with foreign students so
Ah,
that they can learn English.
I see.
So yeah, that is a good thing for research.
Hmm.
Like in masters and PhD, if you are coming, you will get the this positive point that you will get an environment where everyone is at least trying to speak English.
Yes.
So, but sometimes in the lab meetings and all, they like early alien really,
Mm-hmm.
but slowly, you will mingle into that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not a big thing, because what I have seen that all the professors personally also talk to their students in, they try to explain everything what they want to discuss in English. So it's not a big issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because after all, the research will be published in English and it will be
Mm,
in international conferences and journals. So I
mm,
see.
mm.
So, so, can you briefly talk about what kind of fundings are available here? Because our audience knows that South Korea is at number two at present in terms of spending on research and development per GDP, like more than about 4.6% of the GDP is spent on R&D in Korea. So can you
Yeah.
briefly shine a light on that? Like what kind of funding does your lab receive, or what are the financial availability for the conducting the research?
Um, the funding mostly they are getting is from NRF,
Mhm.
National Research Foundation, I
Ah,
guess.
okay. Mm,
And one is also, I guess, NST,
mm,
if I'm not wrong.
mm.
One is NST.
Okay.
And they are also like for students, we have for coming to Korea, we have
Mhm.
many opportunities like scholarship programs. Like
Ah, I
I came
see.
to Korea, then there is KGSP, that now we are calling it GKS for
Uh,
postdoc. It's
so it's
brain,
like sponsored by the Korean government, right?
yeah, government or universities, and
Mhm.
almost every professor in Korea has their own funding. So we call
Mhm,
it
mhm.
professor funding.
Oh, I see.
So it's comparatively easier to come to Korea if because there are so many universities and every professor has their own fund.
Mm.
So yeah.
So it's like financially it's
One
freer.
more thing,
Yes.
yeah, one more thing is that there are many joint projects
Mm-hmm.
between different countries. Like my professor is proposing a project. My postdoc professor is proposing a project between Japan Tokyo Institute of Technology and our lab.
I see.
So similarly, there I just now I saw there is a in in English, it is the
Mm-hmm.
short form is GITA, Gita.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't know the full form.
Uh,
This is a joint project,
mhm.
joint research project between Korea and India.
Oh.
So those who are willing, like those who are scientists in India or professors in India and are willing to collaborate with Korea,
Mm-hmm.
then they can get up to, I guess, 250 million Korean won. Yeah,
Oh.
250 million Korean.
Mm.
And they have four different fields domains in which they can propose the project and they can work together.
Mm. Thank you very much for sharing interesting information. So it all sounds good. Um, how do you see the racism in Korean society? Have you personally experienced any such negative, um, like any comment or any experiences like that? Can you shine a light on that?
uh, Mostly as I told you that good that we don't know Korean Korean language,
Uh-huh.
because only uh, after going through many videos also, like many vloggers in Korea, and my personal experience also, I can say that old people,
Mm-hmm.
it's not their fault also, because they have never been to any places.
Yes,
So old people are just seeing people pouring in from different countries to
mm-hmm.
their country,
Yeah.
so they are feeling kind of insecure.
Yeah.
So they are quite not everyone, like
Mm-hmm.
my neighbors were really good
Yes.
wherever I have stayed. So
Mm-hmm.
there were but some people are racist in, if they are very old.
Yeah.
And it is a very stressful country, like
Yes.
people, everyone is working,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone is hard working, not only working, they
Yes.
are always busy in work,
Uh-huh.
they are always doing work very fast, they need everything very fast, like they always say pali pali,
Pali
means
Pali.
do it
Yes.
faster.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
like cutthroat in everything, they're having this kind of competition.
Mm-hmm.
So in this whole environment, these people, these old people are really feeling stressed, and
Mm.
they are seeing these new faces, so they are kind of expressing their frustration to these new people. Other
Yeah.
than that, these new youngsters, I
Mm-hmm.
will say that almost 100% of the youngsters are not at all racist.
Yeah. Very
uh,
progressive and
yeah, very
liberal.
progressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the reason I see that from their school period itself, they get the opportunity to visit different countries. Like
Yes,
I
that's true.
had my friend, he had studied in government school,
Mm-hmm.
but he had gone for excursion to London, Switzerland, and different places,
I see.
Australia.
Mm.
So they get the exposure. What is
Ah.
immigrants? They know what is immigrant.
Mm.
So they also treat really good, like the youngster are very good. Even if you are going to open a door, they will open it for you. You must
Wow.
have yeah. So youngsters are really
Mhm. Okay, so we are like closing in on the session now. So will you recommend coming to Korea to young people who are interested in technology or conducting research? And would you recommend anyone to, like, if a younger person asks you about it, so would you recommend coming to Korea?
yeah, definitely. Mostly younger people should come to Korea,
Mm-hmm.
because this country it tends to make you more active.
Mm.
Like it expects more and more from you. So you will also get the opportunity to explore yourself in terms of capability and discipline and working fast and managing your work. So I guess young period, youngster age is the time when we should get this kind of opportunity to make ourselves very much active, so that after our youngster age is gone, like
Yes.
if we are going to any other country, we'll feel very much chill, like, oh,
Mhm.
there is so less work here.
I
Yeah.
see. Mm.
Mm.
And also, I see that the collaborative research is very active in Korea. So many people move from Korea to other places as well relatively easily. Have
Yeah,
you?
yeah, 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 yeah. Because those mostly the young professors,
Mhm.
like old professors, are not very open for
Yes.
doing collaborative work,
Mhm.
because if they have studied in Korea, but
Yes.
those professors who have spent their PhD or postdoc in foreign, they mostly prefer doing, like my professor did his postdoc, PhD from Queensland, Australia.
Australia.
So he always tried to do collaboration, but my
Mhm.
PhD professor didn't
Uh,
studied abroad. So his approach was always in the domestic
yeah,
uh,
within the.
research. Yeah.
Mm.
So youngsters are very much open for collaborative work, and
Mhm.
you may get a good chance to move from here to other country for your postdoc.
Also the cultural influence is very strong, and you can experience different cuisine and also different kind of environment socially, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Like after I had no idea. Like I had eaten Chinese food, but I
Uh-huh.
came to know that it was not Chinese in India.
Yes.
It was like we made it in our version.
Yes, that's
We
right.
put our masala and everything,
Hmm.
but the authentic thing like Chinese and Thai and many things,
Hmm.
after coming here, I could take a taste of. Yeah.
Hmm. All right. So, any final words for our listeners and any suggestions you'd like to give our the Indian community, or just your final words for the podcast?
Uh, uh, my only suggestion will be, if anyone is trying to come to Korea or willing to come to Korea,
Hmm.
then he or she should start learning Korean language,
Mm, I see.
because uh, after coming here, also she can join the KIIP program that is free.
Mm,
And because in Korea, for a foreigner, knowing a Korean language is a big asset for him. Like
okay.
many companies are ready to hire people,
Mhm.
foreign people who are having Korean language, Korean
Mm.
fluency, but they are not getting it. We
I
are also
see.
willing to get into good companies,
Hmm.
but due to lackage in
Mm.
fluency in Korean, we are not able to enter.
Yeah,
So
because
if someone
yeah.
starts from the zero,
Hmm.
while coming to Korea, if they start slowly learning Korean, like if
Hmm.
after my PhD I'm going to start, it's going to be a tough time for me.
Yeah, that's right.
But if I would have started 4 years ago,
Mhm.
then I'd have a at a different, like, um,
Much better profile in terms
yeah,
of getting into companies, because I think
yeah,
that
simply,
even though it is like multinational corporations, they still have to work in the local environment, like in the local market. So if
yeah,
someone is bilingual or trilingual, like they can speak both English and Korean, it will be a very much advantage for them, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So thank you very much, Dr. Saifuddin, for joining us today, and it was immense pleasure for us to have you. And hopefully, we'll be in communication and have you in future episodes as well.
Thank you so much for calling me.
Yes.
All the best for your next episodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you very much. Have a nice week ahead. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. See you. Thank you.
see you.
Mhm.